This is Shelley Craft. We are coming to you live on SNN Live. We're at the Cambridge House Resources Conference in Palm Springs, California, 2012. Standing next to me is the Mercenary Geologist, Mr. Mickey Fulp. Welcome to SNN Live. I don't know how many times, but I never get tired of seeing you, bud.
I never get tired of seeing and talking to you either, Shelley. You know that.
This is a kind of a neat show. I kind of like this, you know. You're in the desert.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people interested in resource companies. The place is pretty crowded. What are you going to be speaking on at the conference, because you're a featured speaker here?
I was on exploration panel this morning, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to give a keynote presentation called Bull Market Fundamentals of Copper, Gold, and Uranium.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have Mickey tell you what the bull market fundamentals are. And this is going to take a couple seconds, so tell the audience.
Well, it's all about supply-demand fundamentals. We are using more of these metals than we're mining on a yearly basis, and not only that, but finding, and that's very important. We are not finding, we are not replacing reserves. Mining companies are producing more than they're finding. So the demand is there, and because of that, supply-demand fundamentals indicate prices are going to remain high.
So is this true for all three of the metals you're talking about?
Yes, and there's some different criteria that I use for each one. For instance, copper is an industrial metal, uranium's an energy metal, gold's a monetary metal, so we don't really need gold. It gives us great pleasure to own gold.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
So let me just go into something, because you raise an incredibly important point. Doesn't what you're talking about in finding it and exploring for it, doesn't this like put pressure on the marketplace to fund the global exploration companies to find the resource?
No, I'm not sure it puts pressure, but it leads to buying opportunities or the ability to make money in the business. So call it what you may. It could be pressure. It just people see a way to make money in this business by finding more of these metals. So, you know, we use a Bingham Canyon in copper every year. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Bingham Canyon, or you've certainly been to Salt Lake. It is the world's largest man-made excavation, and it's been producing continuously since 1842, and I dare say it will produce continuously for another 100 years or more. But we're using one of those every year. That's 20 million tons of copper we use every year. We're only mining 16.5 million tons of copper per year. So where's that made up? Scrap, basically. Same with uranium, and I'll go into uranium if you want to, or ask me another question.
Well, the question that I'm trying to provoke an answer to is it a good time to be in the exploration business? Is it a bad time? Is it, you know, are they having difficulty? Doesn't the marketplace know that the exploration companies need to be funded in order to do the replacing? Why don't the mining companies team up with the exploration companies to fund it? You know where I'm going?
Well, we see those sorts of things. There increasingly are major mining companies take equity interests in junior to fund their explorations, or they do JVs, or they spin out their unwanted or assets that are not quite robustly economic, or a little bit too small, or a little bit too low grade. They'll spin that out to junior and fund that exploration partially with a clawback where they can go in and buy the majority of it back. So that does happen. The monetary situation in this business right now, the juniors got beat up really bad last year, especially in tax loss season, selling season. So really what we found is there's only money for the best companies right now. It's not crazy like it was in, say, 2009 into, say, the first quarter of 2010, where money's just being thrown at juniors. A lot of juniors have wasted their money. 95% of these companies fail to begin with. So you got to go out and pick the right ones. Pick the good ones.
You know, I think that when I say pressure, I think there's pressure to find replacement for these large mining companies. I see them. I see them having to do, you know, because they're not going to go into their own exploration. It's much easier to pick up a
Your point's well taken. I get your drift now when you mean pressure. Yeah, so these mining companies, to look successful in Wall Street's eyes, they've got to replace their reserves. They've got to grow. While the gold companies, the big gold companies, their production goes down year after year because there are not enough good gold deposits on the planet. So that's why you've seen them move into copper and gold now. Newmont did it first, but now Barrick is in the copper business, in where? The Congo, of all places.
Well, that's what we see. I mean, you come to a conference, there's a company from Tanzania, there's a company from New Guinea, there's South America. I mean, you know, it's really become a global business, more so than ever before.
Absolutely, and it started in the previous boom in the mid-'90s, where the Canadian juniors, first they infiltrated the U.S. Used to, they did all their exploration in Canada, and then in the early 80s, I worked for a major mining company in the U.S., and we started competing with the Canadians. We saw them come down. In fact, that's how Barrick started. They were a little bitty junior that bought into the Carlin trend and found a major deposit. Now they are the largest gold company in the world. If you look of the 12 largest gold companies in the world, and this is part of my talk tomorrow, 6 of them were born as Vancouver or Toronto Venture listed juniors. So that's what you're looking at here. Now, 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, probably 1 in 1,000 actually, gets to the point of where Barrick and Agnico Eagle and Goldcorp came from. But that's the opportunity in this business.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first from none other than the mercenary geologist who takes no prisoners, Mickey Fulp. Thanks for coming on, Mick.
Shelley.
It was good to have you.